And we're back. We're back for another video about cruising in the planet that we live on. I am here. Of course, I'm Paul with SO Cruising. I'm here with Chris from GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Talking about, I guess we're going to talk about Cozumel today.
Cozumel. Listen, I've been to Cozumel so many times, and my experience on Cozumel is to get off my ship, go to the catamaran, take the 45-minute, what's it called? The Big Cat, I think, or something like that.
There's a bunch of them.
Take that to the shore and then go do some mine stuff. Like that's me on Cozumel. And getting prepared for this, I was doing some research. There's actually some mine stuff right on Cozumel, so I wouldn't have to actually continue to go so far away to appreciate that stuff. But Chris is from GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com if you have any questions. Chris has been on cruise ships for 10 years now as a travel advisor, and once in a while he and I sit down and chat about awesome cruise things. Like today, we're talking about Cozumel. Chris, tell me something interesting that you know about Cozumel that most people don't know.
Well, here's what I'll tell you is Cozumel was actually the very first port that I ever stepped foot on working on cruise ships. It was the very first one. And I asked, hey, where can I go get a burger? And I was told, wait for it, Carlos and Charlie's. This was
Carlos and Charlie's, not Senor Frogs.
No, Carlos and Charlie's, and this was 1991 or 2. I remember there was this big stairs going up, and I walked in, and it was just bedlam inside. People were running around, dancing. And I just kept asking, can I get a burger? I just want a cheeseburger. Can I get a cheeseburger? And I was handed shots and tequila and margaritas, and it was just this big party. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like it. And I had never seen anything like this before.
Right.
But that's, my first memory of Cozumel. However, after being there for a while, I can tell you this. Cozumel is an amazing island, and there's so much to do there and so much to see there. And if you are a scuba diver, in one stop, you can see things that most scuba divers would have to do many, many, many vacations or diving trips to see.
Now, anytime we talk about scuba diving, I have to interrupt you and remind you that if you are in Cozumel, the second greatest scuba diving place on the planet is not very far away, and you guessed it, Bonaire. There's the Great Barrier Reef is number 1, and Bonaire is number 2. And as everybody knows, Bonaire is my favorite island in the Caribbean. Anyway, back to you, Chris.
However, what Paulie doesn't know is the best visibility in the Caribbean is on the very protected reef in Cozumel. And there is also...
That's why we do these videos, Chris.
There is a 17th century Spanish galleon wreck, which I will say before I talk too much about it, it is an advanced dive, but you can see a Spanish galleon wreck in Cozumel. You can also go cave diving in Cozumel and see a coral, formation that looks like a crucifix. These are advanced dives, but they are available there, which is something like just to have all this stuff in one location is amazing. And there are dives where you can hit both of those. But like I said, you do have to be an advanced dive. Now, if you're not an advanced diver, there are amazing little discovery dive trips where you can just take a quick class and get an idea of whether, hey, do I even like scuba diving? But there's nothing like Cozumel as far as visibility and everything, and especially for a beginner diver. Absolutely amazing island. That's where I got certified.
Very cool. And if somebody wanted to find out, like to book and one of the excursions, let's say, after they book the cruise through you at Go Luxury Cruiser, you can also help them with the excursions. Is that correct?
Oh yes. I've worked with a lot of the vendors down there, and what I can do is get you the same experiences, if not better, than what the ship is offering, and I cut out the middleman.
Isn't that because I, like most people, I used to just, hey, listen, it's $100, I'll pay it. But after like the 6th excursion, I wouldn't have mind saving $40 on a couple of those. Like that would have been okay.
And I can almost always save, especially in Cozumel. I mean, I can save up to 50% off a lot of this stuff. You know, my buddy's down at Sand Dollar Sports down there in Cozumel. I mean, great, awesome people. But the other thing too is there's a lot more to do in Cozumel than just that area right when you get off the ship. You know, if you get for a very little amount of 50, maybe $60, you can rent a Jeep and you can go to the other side of the island and find these great little cafes and great little beaches that nobody even knows about because nobody is going over there except the locals and the people vacationing there. And you're going to get to see great things. And the other great thing about Cozumel, it's extremely safe. 100% of Cozumel's income is from tourism. So they don't tolerate anything. If there's issues or anything like that, I can tell you it's dealt with El Mexican.
So they don't stand for baloney.
Oh, no baloney there. I do have, and for my people that do, I do steer them towards little out of the way places, even in town, that'll get you a really fun experience. And without going to the really touristy places. I'll give you one for free right now. There's a place in town in the courtyard. There's a main courtyard, and you'll know what I'm talking about once you go there. And it's called Cafe Dennis. It is the oldest restaurant in Cozumel. And here's how you know it's good. When you go in there and you see all locals eating there, they come to the middle of the tourist section to eat at this restaurant. And they make a dish called cochinita pibil, which is a slow roasted pork, which is cooked all night in banana leaves. And you have that with lime and rice. And of course, they always end it with a shot of tequila.
Have to.
But they're noted for that. And their guacamole is amazing. And they've been doing it since Cozumel first became Cozumel.
And that's at Cafe Dennis?
Cafe Dennis.
Very cool. And so if somebody were interested in going there, obviously they would call you, they'd book their cruise through you, and then they would say, hey, what was the name of that joint you were talking about? Cafe William, Cafe Steven. You're like, no, Cafe Dennis, go watch the video again. But that's kind of the goal is for people to have that sort of inside information, because I can't tell you how many times I've been to Cozumel and I've never been to Cafe Dennis. You
probably walked right by it.
The next time I go, I am going to go there. I think I have 2 cruises booked right now, but one of them is in the Baltic, so I'm probably not going to get there. But the other one is definitely going to Cozumel, because we're going to go to Costa Maya and go visit some more Mayan ruins. But I'll definitely go to Cafe Dennis now, and that's cool. Like that's one of the great values that Go Luxury Cruiser can add to even my vacations. When I've been on so many cruises, there's still something else I don't know, because I haven't spent 10 years on cruise ships and 10 years booking people on cruise ships like Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. So that makes a big difference. So people can email you at Chris@GoLuxuryCruiser.com. They can go to the website. Just go to the website, GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Phone number's right there. Call it up, Chris. Let's leave the people with one more cool thing. Give us a cool story of something that happened in Cozumel that just wasn't going to happen somewhere else.
Oh, okay. I will tell you, when the day that I got certified in scuba diving, there was this little place we would go to that was doing our certification. And when we would get there, they knew us. And they would serve, we got Cokes when we went out. And then when we did our dive to get certified, we came up, and waiting for us was burgers and Coronas and everything. And it was great. But the funny thing was one of the other dive boats came over, and they got close together, and they were handing the Coronas to the other guys.
Oh my word.
But I mean, the thing was the point I'm making is we felt really welcome there. It's a welcoming island. You can really walk into just about anywhere and feel comfortable. You never have to feel like, even if you don't speak Spanish or you're there, they take you in as their own. And that's what I always think about. I have a very fond place in my heart for Cozumel, even as it got commercial and as big as it grew, like it did.
Right.
I will tell you that there's still that sense of belonging when you go there, and that I remember that. I remember, them just taking great care of us every time we went, and we were crew members. I mean, we weren't
right
the major, I mean, we were guys. I was at the time, I was a DJ working on a ship. I mean, and they were basically hooking us up with dives and certifications just because, they're like, we want you to love our island. And they love that island, boy. And it's a beautiful island. And what I can do is, anyone that comes there, if I've had people that say, I love Cozumel so much, I want to go stay there for a week. And you can do that. And it's very, very good, very, very good places to stay. And that's what cruising does. It gives you tastes of these areas. And then you can say, you know what, maybe I want to go there for a few days before I go on my cruise or after I go on my cruise.
That's exactly what who says. And, I always tell her, listen, like, I want to go to as many places as I can on this planet. Like, I want to go, I want to stop as many places. I want to keep going out. I don't want to go to the same place twice, unless of course it's, Bonaire. But when we're talking about booking in the Baltic, I was like, well, we're going to stop here, 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 and here. And she says, well, that's great. Then we can figure out which one we want to go spend a week at. And I was like, well, so,
sounds like a smart person.
So much for saving money on this cruise, because no matter where we go, like, I'm going to have to go back to one of these places for a week. Like, it's going to just keep adding up. But, and the good thing is, you can be sure that when I do go to do that, of course, I'm going to call Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com as well. And Chris is going to help me make all of that happen. And he has the knowledge in every one of those ports also. So it won't be a difficult thing. So that's great news, Chris. We'll have the people booking cruise ships. We'll get them into Cozumel. And if you have booked through Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, if you've been to Cafe Dennis by the recommendation, leave us a comment and let us know how it went.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to take a break real quick. When we come back, we're going to go over some real in-depth reasons to book with a travel advisor, some good secrets revealed, stuff that you just didn't think about. It's all coming up right after the break. So stick around, and Chris will be back in just a minute.
Yeah.
Go Luxury Cruiser is an all-inclusive travel agency waiting to help you book your next adventure or relaxing getaway. If you want a balcony room on Royal Caribbean, a suite on a river cruise to the Christmas markets, or a volcano view in Hawaii, Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com is the expert you need. Call 888-404-5581 or send an email to Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com today. GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Explore, discover, go.
All right, everybody, we're back. As you can tell, Chris and I both spilled things on us during the commercial break there, so we both put on new clothes, but we're back to talk about cruising and why you should call Chris Debonis at Go Luxury Cruiser. Email him, Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. The email address, as I've said 100 times already, and the website, of course, is GoLuxuryCruiser.com. Easy enough. Now, Chris, you and I have spoken so many times about why people should use travel advisors. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is the fact that people now can do it themselves. And it's very simple to do. You go to the website, you type in the information. You can go to RoyalCaribbean.com if you want, not to pump them, but you can. You can go to Orbitz, they have it. You can go to any one of the things, and I can do it myself. But you always tell me that you can do something differently, and I know that now. So let's talk about why the people who are now watching the video should be calling you instead of booking it themselves. Let's just start with just booking a simple cruise, a simple balcony room or a suite on a royal ship. Why should someone call you instead of booking it themselves?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you get me. I mean, I come from 10 years at sea. I've worked on almost every single class of Royal Caribbean ship there is, and I've probably been to every port of call in the world, minus maybe a dozen. And what I can do for you is I can not only add my knowledge to your cruise, but I can also add value. We can always add perks, shipboard credit. I mean, it really varies from case to case to case, but I can always add something. And that's really what it is. And look, yes, you can absolutely go to Google, type in Caribbean cruises, and you're going to get a million things. You can go to Costco now and order a cruise. But do you really want to order your cruise where you get your barbecue sauce from? I mean, I've never really understood that.
Well, you want to certainly go with an expert. You want to go with
Yes.
someone who knows exactly what's going on at all points in times. And you might try just getting a little bit closer to your mic because you're a little bit quiet right now. Or maybe
okay.
move it a little bit closer. That way we everyone can hear everything we're talking about. Now,
okay.
Certainly if I book it through Costco and something goes wrong, what am I going to do? Call 1-800-COSTCO and be like, hi, so I'm kind of a little bit stranded here. Or, hey, listen, my room is not what I wanted it to be, and I need some help here, and they're not helping me. I don't think that the cashier at Costco is going to be stepping up to the plate, but they could call you, and you might be able to help them out. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I probably would have already said, hey, just FYI, this room is, below the pool deck, so you might be hearing noises of them dragging the chairs at 7 a.m. every single morning, and if you're a late sleeper, you won't be on that cruise. That's just a little
Chris,
example.
There's so many things about that that others don't. And I've been on more cruises than I can ever count. And every time we talk about this, you tell me something else that I never thought about when I'm booking a cruise. You talk about being under the pool deck. When we talk about Norwegian ships, celebrity ships, you don't want to be with the magic carpet outside of you. You don't want to be under the windjammer. You don't want to be in the interior on the Allure because it's just a little bit warmer than being on the exterior. Like every time we talk, you have something else. And with all these ships out there, how am I supposed to remember it? Oh, that's right. I don't have to because I can call you instead. Now, at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, people need to know that the experience that they wish that they had, you have already done it all. So you can actually just give them the knowledge. You were on ships for 10 years prior to being a travel advisor for the past 10 years. So there's very little that you're not going to be able to know or help them with. So let's say somebody is booking a cruise in Alaska and they call you and they say, hey, listen, Chris, I want to go in a balcony room in Alaska. Can you give me an idea of what I might consider doing? Like what sort of tips and tricks would you give someone who's going to Alaska?
I always recommend with Alaska, absolutely 100% a balcony cabin. Alaska is a very visual sailing, and there's actually whole days where you spend just kind of cruising around a glacier. And I always recommend an aft facing, so a rear facing balcony, because what happens is when you're sitting there, you can see on both sides of the ship. So if the ship's on this side, you can see and then if the ship's on the other side, so you're not, because if you're on one side of the ship, if the ship turns around away from the glacier, you're not seeing anything.
You got a heck of a look at the ocean, just like every other time you've been on a cruise ship looking at the ocean, except it's just
you get great sunsets. Yeah, great sunsets, beautiful views. And what's nice too is on the aft facing balconies, you're sailing away from a port and you're just watching it disappear, and it's fantastic.
Now, and again, it's stuff like that stands out. This is why people need to call you instead of. And I book a lot of cruises, and when I used to do it myself, I'd be like, oh yeah, like that one looks good, I'll take that. And then you're walking down the hallway the first time you go into your room, and you're like, geez, I didn't think about this. Oh, look at this. I can't believe. Why am I here? Can I move? And it just becomes such a hassle and such a difficult thing because, listen, you don't go on 7 cruises a year. So when you get a bad room, you're in a bad room. That's your vacation. And the whole time, all you should be thinking about is, why did I think I should do this myself? There are experts out there that want to help me. And oftentimes, the assistance comes not only with booking, but you can also, through GoLuxuryCruiser.com, help them out with maybe getting a slightly lower rate on the cabin, or an onboard credit, right? Like, well, I remember one time I was out there and you're like, right before I left, you're like, oh, and by the way, check your onboard credit. I got you a night in Chops. And I was like, man, that's cool. Like, I'm happy that Chris booked this for me instead of me booking it myself again and missing out on such a thing. And these are things that you can do for people, right?
Right. And here's the other thing too, is the cruise line isn't going to say, oh, you're booking directly through us, we're going to charge you less because we don't have to pay the travel agent's commission. They're not going to do any of that. They're just going to take that money and not give you whatever we would give you, and not give you any of the benefits you have from our associations.
Right.
And I can tell you that, from experience, I know what these guys are talking about. I can't tell you how many times I've had blatantly, let's just say, not the best information given to me talking to people that work for the cruise line. And
of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's the thing, is when you're dealing with a travel agent, you got to make sure that they know what they're talking about too. It's just like anywhere else. But what I would say is, when it comes to booking travel, always try to use an agent. Find an agent you trust. You can always call me and talk to me. But I mean, to speak to what you're saying, is there's balcony cabins that are very inexpensive on cruise lines. They could be as much as $1,000 less per person. And what they don't tell you is that's where the anchor chain is.
Right. Yeah. And actually, as an aside, I know when you try to book on Royal, like, there are two choices. There's like, we'll choose your balcony for you, or for an extra $100, you can pick your own. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. Like, I'm going to let you put me in the worst cabin possible. The reason it's available is because everyone who has a brain didn't take that one. Everyone who knows what they're talking about was like, no, I'm not taking that one. That one's right next to the boiler room under the windjammer with the pool in the backyard. Like, no, thank you.
I will tell you, speaking to that, there is some times where you can look at that as glass half full. If you take what's called a guarantee and they sell out of that category, they have to upgrade you. So there are people that like to roll the dice on that. No. And I always say, okay, you could end up in the best cabin. I've had clients get sent up to nicer levels, and I've had them go, yep, they put me next to the anchor chain.
That just sounds like an absolute awful thing to do. And, it's another reason to go with someone like, for those of you who are watching and listening, Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, is when you're talking with Chris, I can tell you that the customer service starts the day that you introduce yourself, and it ends not at the end of your first cruise, or not when you haven't booked one for a year. You don't get purged from the system. I know that, and Chris and I have spoken about this extensively. If someone can call Chris up and say, hey, listen, 5 years ago, you booked me on this one, and can you help me with this one? And within a couple of minutes and a quick search of a database, Chris is going to have the person's information, double check it, know what they want, know what they're looking for, because he keeps extensive notes on the people, and everything that he needs to do to make your cruise the best thing that you've had for years is this one option. Just call your favorite travel agent, which, of course, is Chris Debonis at GoLuxuryCruiser.com. If you want to do it right, because folks, I can tell you, and I'm not, Chris isn't paying me anything to say this, by the way.
No, as a matter of fact, I had to bring him kicking and screaming over to using a travel agent, because Paulie knew everything.
I still know everything, but the new knowledge is what's important. If you're looking to book travel, you can find someone who is a travel agent who read a couple of travel books and got hired by a travel company, and they've been doing this for 6 months. And boy, they've booked 10 or 12 cruises already, and they know what they're talking about. Or you can have someone who's been doing it for 2 years on and off on weekends, and they book their friends and family, and they work from home, and their experience is a little more than a common traveler. Or you can go with someone who actually lived on cruise ships for 10 years, who has traveled so much around the world that this travel advisor can tell you where to go and when to go and what to do when you get there in almost every port on the planet. And then for the last 10 years has been doing that. Both of those options are going to cost you the same, which is usually nothing, but one of them is going to give you what you're looking for, and the other one is going to, we were talking about rolling the dice. Well, yeah, there's your roll right there. So if you're dealing with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com, it certainly is going to make a big difference for your vacation. The easiest way to get in touch, of course, is you can just simply go to the website. The phone number is on the website, right, Chris?
Yeah, everything's on the website.
Yep. Now, you can book the Caribbean, and you can pretty much book anywhere, can't you?
Yeah, no, I can book anything, anywhere. And it's funny, I know we talk about cruises a lot, but I mean, if you need something else, I can do that. If you want to stay somewhere pre or post on your cruise, I can do that. Everything from hotel rooms to villas in Monte Carlo, I can do it all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about that, about taking trains, like after you get off the ship. If listen, you got 2 weeks of vacation, you take a cruise for a week, and then you hop on a train for a week, and you need hotels in the meantime. You need all the information. Like I always talk about cruising because, well, this is a cruise YouTube channel, so we sort of focus on that. But Chris isn't limited to just cruising, because not only has he been to these places, but he's lived in a lot of pretty exotic places and has spent a ton of time in a lot of places like that. So outside of cruising, you can also do that. We've got videos on a lot of the cruise ships. We've got videos on a lot of the ports, a lot of the cities to go to, a lot of events that happen around the world, and anything that you need to do when it comes to booking travel. You can go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com and book just about anything out there. Chris, can you book me to Antarctica, by the way?
No problem. When do you want to
go? When are we leaving? Do you want
to go out on Zodiacs, or you just want to look at it? Do you want to get out with the penguins, or do you want to just look at them from the thing?
I mean, we're probably going to have to stand on the continent, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be, you can't tell people that you saw Antarctica. Like, you're going to have to probably go and walk around and feed a couple of penguins.
You would be surprised. Oh, I'm okay. By the way, in Antarctica, ant meaning Arctica, ant. There's no bears in Antarctica. You got to go up to Arctica, the Arctic, to see the polar bears.
Yeah. See what I get, folks? It's you try to say something a little bit funny, and it turns out that you're just dealing with an expert who won't let things go. There we go.
Well, there's no bears in Antarctica.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring one just to change the whole narrative of this entire video. And when people are watching this in 3 years, they're going to be like, yeah, they're up. Paul brought them there.
Paul brought that whole family down.
It'd be awesome. But it really is that simple, though, right? Like I just came up with something crazy, like, oh yeah, I want to go to Antarctica. And the answer is like, yeah, you can do that. Like I for all the things I've ever asked, hey, can we do this? Hey, what about this? Like, what's an excursion? If we're going here, what's a good excursion? Where's the thing to do here? And like, you just always know. And it's another reason why people just absolutely have to call you, email you, and go to the website and find all the information at GoLuxuryCruiser.com and get in touch with you before they book. And if it's a short trip, if it's a long trip, if it's a balcony room, if it's a suite, if it's a junior suite, if they're looking to get into the Haven, if they're looking to get into the retreat or anything, and anything at all, like you're the person to call. And that's kind of what we want people to do.
So we can always add value. We can always add value. We can always add our knowledge to the booking and make sure that, because look, especially in all these crazy times and everything, we want to make sure that the dollar you spend is maximized to where it can't be maximized anymore. So,
Yeah, it absolutely is. And if you're booking a cruise and it's going to be $2,000, but you're getting $2,300, $2,400 worth of value. And then because you did it in a certain way, it actually ends up being more value just based on your experiences than if you had just done it yourself. So, yeah. Bottom line, folks, you don't have to go it alone. You can call your friendly neighborhood travel advisor. Go to GoLuxuryCruiser.com, get in touch with Chris Debonis or one of his partners there at the office, and they will give you all the information that you're going to need in order to have the greatest vacation at the greatest value. And the more you book, the more they know about you, the better your experience will be every time. Chris, final words for the good people who are looking to get in touch with Chris at GoLuxuryCruiser.com.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Paul. I always have a good time.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Later.